Has the group helped you overcome some barriers in creating your deck?
Yeah, I don't think the virtual component is a deterrent or anything. I don't feel like I'm missing an impersonal experience. I feel like it's sufficient because it's convenient. It's an amazing place we're in where we can go on our computers and see people and talk. It's really the future.
Welcome to the GRACED podcast, a space for everyday magic for your everyday life. We do this through rituals, aligning yourself to your soul's purpose, and creating alchemy to heal our mind, body, and spirits so that you can bring in more love and joy, manifest your desires, and believe in your dreams. Listen and watch over at graceduong.com/podcast and on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, and all the places you can find me on social media. Now let's dive in to today's episode. Welcome to the GRACED podcast, a space where we talk about everyday magic for your everyday life. In this episode, we'll hear more about Dov's 10-year-long process and journey of creating his own tarot deck, getting stuck, and how he's propelled his deck creation process ever since he joined the Create Your Deck Club. One of the most touching parts about this conversation was he had essentially taken a pre-order from a friend, but she passed away before he could finish it. This was a huge motivator for Dov, along with his passion for creating his deck, to finish it once and for all. We also talk about imposter syndrome and building that confidence through practice, rituals, and overall showing up over and over again and doing the work that is in front of you. If you've ever wanted to create your own deck, check out the Create Your Deck Club and join our membership with deck creators from all over the world. If you're curious or even hesitant about getting started, the first step is to get going, and what better way to do that than to surround yourself with other deck creators who are on the same journey as you. You can check out more information about the Create Your Deck Club at mysticmondays.com. Now let's dive into this episode. Hello, everyone. I'm Grace Duong, the creator behind the Mystic Mondays decks and the Create Your Deck Club, where I teach students the complete deck making process from concept, execution, and marketing. And today we have one of our Create Your Deck Club members with us. Dov, tell us who you are, your background, and about the tarot deck that you are creating.
Well, hi, Grace. It's really a pleasure to be talking to you today and to be sharing my excitement about being part of the Create Your Deck Club. I am an artist. I'm a musician. I played the violin for many years, orchestral, new age, rock. I write songs, and my journey has been really interesting to gravitate towards tarot and cards and still in the conceptual and executing phase, and I know marketing is on the horizon, but it's been really comforting to be able to get a handle on my sporadic at times indulgence in doing this, because it seems like very esoteric to be taking time out to work on a tarot deck, but it's actually seems very practical at this point, because it's giving me time and impetus and reason to analyze a lot of the cards that are, I see, little steps in the circle of life and places that we all get to, and we just get so caught up in our jobs and our relationships and our kids and our families and the world and what's happening out there that we need to take time to just go within and sort of see the bigger picture. And as an artist, I loved just painting, and I got to see that things came on the canvas that sort of spoke to me as reflections of what wasn't going on inside me, and as a tool of sort of being contemplative and getting to know who I am. And it turned out that my paintings had similar structure to the templates of the tarot deck, and I realized I was making the tarot deck. So I have kept going, and I found out about this club in Grace, and I joined, and it's really allowed me to focus and see other people that are doing a deck and hear their personal stories and realize that it was similar to what I was going through. Even though the decks and concepts were completely different, the process is very similar, where you focus on a card and information that research it, or it comes from your intuition, and then you work it, and it actually inspired me to move forward on these decks. And now I'm sort of in a routine where I'm over the major arcana and I'm in the minor arcana, like posting my newest card as a way of sort of completing, saying, okay, I can let it go and go on to the next one for now. And it's just been really fun more and more to dive into each card. And I so respect people that have done tarot decks. I think, wow, they put all that effort in and they've been able to see the big picture of how each card plays in their theme. And I just respected that ability to have the art and the philosophy, the concepts all joined together. So eventually, I just needed a push to sort of move forward, and I think this choice I made of joining has been a good one.
That's awesome. So, to give people background information, you had been making your deck for several years now before joining the Create Your Deck Club. So, you already had done painting, I would say, for all of the cards, right? And I feel like when you joined the Create Your Deck Club, and you've been on fire, by the way, posting in the private group, the descriptions that you've been writing. And I think that was something I had noticed about your process was that you're just going over the artwork over and over again. And for me, for you to join the Create Your Deck Club, it was really for you to get across the finish line so that you could have a finished deck and guidebook in your hands and, start selling it if you want to. So I would just love to hear how long you've been working on your deck before joining the Create Your Deck Club. Also, what your deck is called and the concept behind your deck.
Sure, I went to Europe over 30 years ago and went to the museums and just saw the art. And I just came back from Europe and started painting. And I did a lot of murals to cleanse the neighborhood of graffiti. And I noticed, that was a very rewarding thing. So I kept studying more. And so I would say at least 15 years had this in mind to turn this art that I was doing into a deck. But I've also been a musician and also writing and doing life, so it wasn't a full time thing. So what I'm finding is that every time I work on a card and I start writing about the card, the lessons come to me in life. The reflections are out there of that exact card that I'm working on, and it's like it's undeniable to me, and I'm right about it, and it's very personal, and I'm enjoying it because it's engaging and it feels cumulative. Like over time, it starts to these little puzzle pieces start to fit, and I'm sure we're all like that with the things we do in life. We get satisfaction when things start to work together from different perspectives, and you feel like you're on the right track, and you're out of the real. You're not as lost as you were. So plus, you're working on things that are all about upgrading your life and what's important and how the world is made and how we all work together and the archetypes and the suits and the whatever the deck is, if in the oracle decks or flower decks or animal decks or word wisdom decks. I mean, those are so important to have constant reminders of our connection to ourselves so we can, heal the planet, have a beautiful world of peace and harmony. And that's what artists' basically job is, to bring in harmony and peace. And with decks, you kind of give explanations. It's abstract. It could be an abstract images you do, but the point is to transcend our living conditions so that we can live in a world where this wisdom is shared.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say making a deck is like a spiritual evolution because you learn the lessons of the cards as you go along. And it's pretty wild how the universe just shows up for you in that way. So, making a deck is not just about making cards that don't have any meaning. There's absolutely purpose in making these cards, and there's meaning through you. So, the lessons that you learn, you channel that through your own filter of experiences, and you make the card and you write the words, and you never know who that's going to help and inspire on their own journey because you were brave enough to share what you've experienced and what you've learned through the cards. And that's what I love about tarot and oracle decks is that even though there's a general sense of what the card means, you can always have your own take and perspective on what that card means to you. So, I might have a way of saying something, and then you might have a way of saying something for, let's say, the chariot card, which is behind me in this video. That can mean different things, even though there's a general sense of what that can mean in context to whatever the question is or whatever guidance that person needs for that day. And I think that's a really beautiful thing that you can pass that along to yourself because you're learning these lessons, but also to whoever else picks up your deck and wants to use it on their journey. So for you, you're using a style of painting and you have a lot of dolphins in your deck. So I'd love to hear about the inspiration behind your deck and what the dolphin means. And I know you've also changed some of the words. So cups are, I believe, chalices in your deck. Tell us about these stylistic choices that you've made and the artistic direction behind it.
Sure. I guess dolphins are hit me a lot time ago as symbols of joy and freedom and beauty. I guess the way they pod together and work together and sing together, and they're just uplifting. And I thought, what a great symbol for art. And I always started putting them in my art as just felt right. And then I realized I was creating, that's the main theme of my deck. So it's called the Royal Dolphin deck. And it's sort of the court cards, and all the major arcana. I mean, almost all the cards have dolphins somewhere in there as spirit guides, sort of as our higher selves, as our joyous selves, kind of talking to us in playful ways. I think it's a playful deck, even though the art style, I'm a classical musician, symphonically trained, classically trained, and so I go to some of the classics of art too, and as inspirations. But it's playful and colorful, and I'm not as formally trained in art as I am in music. So I'm a little more free, maybe, to just come up with things that are from inspiration or intuition, and it's just has been fun to find how it can play itself out. So if whatever theme you're thinking of in your deck that you're doing, then you just translate it to the different suits, and like the chalices on the cups that I get to use things like sponges in the ocean as a cup, or I have a musical theme. So it's musical theme and dolphins, and there's a trumpet as a cup. So I have various different ways of showing the chalices, and then I have notes as swords. And it's just writing the descriptions. It's sort of reinterpreting tarot and as with the tools of it in the mind of a dolphin. How I guess I feel like their energies are out there and they're connecting and we can pick up on them. And it's still ongoing. It's still learning. It's like when you decide to do a deck or decide to join the club, you don't have that's just the beginning of the process. You start to open up and you figure out the pieces start to make sense once you make decisions. So Grace is really helpful in helping me just in holding the space for making some important decisions so I can move forward.
Have you downloaded the Mystic Mondays app yet? Well, if you haven't, what are you waiting for? If you want to take the Mystic Mondays tarot and oracle cards with you wherever you go for your daily rituals, this is the app for you. Whether you're on the go or happen to be traveling without a physical deck, the Mystic Mondays app has your back. It's available to download in both the iOS and Android stores. Now, back to the episode. Yeah, that's awesome. And also, it's very unique to you and your experience because you're tying in your music background into the artwork and how music notes are overlaid in the art. And we even talked about how you could use music with your deck. Perhaps cards tie into songs, and it could be a whole experience for people that purchase your deck. They could also have access to music that you create.
Yeah, it's like two sides of the coin, the music and the art for me. And there's a lot of music to share. And I'm thinking that this deck is a vehicle to set up a way to better share my music, since it's been challenging to get the music out. Honestly, it's like I've done a lot of music and performed with a lot of great people, but I feel like when I, I was record company, you think a record company is going to take you on and support you and put your music out, but unless you have to do that yourself, and that just takes the marketing and the diligence, and I sort of use art for that to sort of balance out my music. So I think there's a connection that's going to come up. It's going to be fun to share the music as this deck progresses.
Yeah. So, what would you say has been the biggest momentum for you when joining the Create Your Deck Club? Because before you joined the Create Your Deck Club, you had been making your deck like on and off for the past 15 years. And I know there was like some resistance to joining the Create Your Deck Club at first. And so, I just want to hear like, what has been the most helpful for you? Because I have seen momentum from you since joining, and I just really want to applaud you for that as well. Because something you mentioned was taking yourself seriously and taking this vision for yourself seriously.
Yeah, you hit a good point, and it's a good question because I was reticent. I was sort of doubtful that this could even happen, that I could get to the level where I'd be cranking it out, and was felt really brought to a special place when I was had that first talk with you, and I realized you had sort of conquered things I couldn't conquer yet. Was as far as getting a deck finished and being proud of it and having some success with it. Lots of people responding, and that's sort of the place I wanted to get to, but I just didn't see how I could do it. And then you said, "Well, I'm here to show the way for that," and I still felt a bit. It was still a big leap, even though I'd done tarot classes. I had been going to a group workshop like 20 times. We met at a coffee house and people would talk, and the person would lead the group. But I'd never come across someone who was actively helping other people make their deck. And I'm fortunate I got to come across you, and I still haven't met anybody like that. But here it is. So I took the opportunity. I felt like this is for me. I got to do it. And I made it a priority.
So, Dov, you've been making your deck on and off for the past 15 years, and you've had life things come up, as you said. And I just wanted to hear how joining the Create Your Deck Club, how has that impacted your momentum in creating your deck?
Sure. Over that period of time, I show different pieces to different people that were aware of tarot, and they responded here and there, encouraging me. Actually, somebody who I really admired wanted to buy the deck, and I was okay. I'll just finish it and send you a copy. Because I felt like, yeah, that's something I want to do, but it really seemed out of my abilities to pull it all together, even though I was into it. So, like, I had been to a coffee shop where we had gathering weekly or biweekly for months at a time, and I enjoyed that. And that was basically reading and studying the cards and with a group of people, and I really liked it. And I remember like one of the last meetings I came to, I made myself a little deck, and I printed it out and I showed people, and they were like, "Wow, this is great." But I thought it was still amateurish, and I wasn't ready to show it to too many people. But then I heard about the club, the class, and my momentum got to be really focused and just streamlined and kind of getting into a groove or a rhythm with it now. So I think it was when Grace suggested I work on the book itself as well as the painting. And so I found that it's really moved forward. And hearing the other people helped a little bit too, to hear them going through their process and finding themselves in it. It's really a great place to put out your intentions and drag yourself forward to a place where you can see what you're doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, whatever happened to that person that wanted to buy your deck?
Well, her name's DJ. She was a really wonderful musical DJ, and I used to perform on her radio show and go out to Dana Point and perform for the group of people out there was like my music. It was, but she saw that I had this deck, and she's one of the few people I knew that was in the tarot. But she passed away like several months ago, so she's not on
Wow.
this plane. But she did give me that. She did want to buy it, and I made that intention. And in fact, the day that she passed away, I tried to finish. I was like, I'm going to finish this because I got to get it for her. And then I heard she passed away. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like she's with us, especially with you during your deck creation process and just giving those boosts, the boost of energy to really get to the finish line.
that's a very good point. And, we do, the point of these oracles and these decks is to connect with spirit and to see the unseen, to bring in messages this place needs to live on the highest dimension we can. And people that cross over or become our guides and our spirit connectors, and honoring their work here and their guidance. Still, it's the stars, the nature, it's all the decks are here to expand our consciousness and our awareness.
For sure. Yeah. So you mentioned going to these classes at a coffee shop in person, a tarot workshop, it sounds like. And I was just wondering what your experience was going to these in person workshops because the Create Your Deck Club is a completely virtual experience because we have people from all over the world in the Create Your Deck Club. And you mentioned how it's just nice to be around other people who are also creating their deck and going on a similar healing journey while creating their deck. So, how has it been being a part of this virtual experience, but also impacting your physical life because you're making these cards, you're painting, you're writing, you're making movements towards getting this deck created? Has the group helped you overcome some barriers, in creating your deck? And does it give you motivation to continue working on your deck?
Yeah, I don't think the virtual component is a deterrent or anything. I don't feel like I'm missing an impersonal experience. I feel like it's sufficient because it's convenient. It's an amazing place we're in where we can go on our computers and see people and talk. It's really the future. I remember so many years ago knowing this was going to happen, and here we are doing it every day, taking it for granted. It's a blessing, and it's amazing that we use this technology in this purpose to help each other navigate life, know what our unique gifts are, why we're here, and to do it. It's highly prioritized to take the time and nurture that. So I feel like the opportunity itself and this to show up and commit to it gives, says to yourself and your higher self that you're willing to do what it takes. And so other people doing that come together, you create space and you get this momentum. And just to be able, for me personally, to post these, even if one or two or nobody looks at it for a week or not, I had some great comments honestly, from some of the other people. And I was just taking that, I just made me feel really good that they were looking at it and they liked it. And that was a key that you're connecting, even with a few people, you can keep going. You can turn that into a reason.
That's awesome. So, final question. You mentioned you printed out, a version of your deck, a mini version of your deck, and brought it to your tarot class at a coffee shop, and people were very encouraging. And yet, you felt this, I would say, self doubt, that this wasn't good enough still, and etc. Whatever the feelings are that are associated with that. And I just wanted to understand because it does seem like there is a shift in your energy in terms of confidence around your deck. And has being a part of the Create Your Deck Club helped shift your mindset around being a deck creator, finishing your deck, and what that means for you?
Yes, it's each of us have identities, and we start with identities that they branch out, and only ourselves can figure out how to make that branch happen. So being an artist, being a musician kind of branched to being an artist, and then I wanted to be an artist that had a message about the environment, and then I realized, it's there's a structure that you can put it in. You can put it in a deck. So it's been an evolution, and I really have seen that those cards, I mean, they're still here. I was able to just print them out and show them to some people and use them here and there, and they work. I mean, the thing is, does it work? You have to test it out. And like, I would test it out on myself, and I'd use it a lot. And a lot of times it was like, this is good information. And so studying, so what was keeping me back was maybe some of my artistic, I wanted a little higher level of my art. So I studied a lot of YouTubes of great masters, and I really enjoyed looking at the history of art from a new perspective, and it gave me some confidence. And so the time and you have to maybe take some sidetracks to develop some skills, but that's part of everything in life. You do it right, you need to grow and learn, and then you embody those side journeys.
Absolutely. And it's all a journey.
It's all a journey. And what I didn't expect was that, this lessons are coming to me so I could better understand these elements. And I think we need to do that as a society, as the world. It just doesn't seem like the wisdom is finding its way far enough. And it's all within us. And these are reflections. So I'm excited to see how it turns out.
Me too. Well, thank you so much, Dov, for your time today and sharing your experience being a part of the Create Your Deck Club. You're making amazing progress, and I can't wait to see more of it.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate that very much. It's really nice to talk to you. And
Yeah.
good luck to everybody.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode with Dov and hearing about his experience being a member inside the Create Your Deck Club. Check out the Create Your Deck Club and more information about it on mysticmondays.com. Sending you grace today and every day. Thanks for tuning into this episode. Remember to subscribe and check out more Grace podcast episodes for how to apply everyday magic to your everyday life. See you next time.